Welcome to Studying with KJ. Today, we'll be going over adding mixed numbers with unlike denominators. Now, before we get into solving some example problems, let's go over the 4 steps needed to solve these type of problems. And I have those 4 steps written here. So, step 1, align the mixed numbers vertically to make adding them easier. Step 2, find the least common denominator for both mixed numbers. Step 3, rewrite the mixed numbers so that they both have the least common denominator found in step 2. And the 4th and final step is to add the mixed numbers. So now that we've gone through these 4 steps, we can get into solving our example problems. So if we look at our example problem 1, it says 4 and 4 ninths plus 3 and 1/3. Now, our step 1 tells us to align our mixed numbers vertically so it's easier for us to add them. So let's go ahead and do that. So first we'll write down 4 and 4 ninths, and then below that we'll write down 3 and a plus sign, 3 and 1/3. So now that we've done that, we can go on to our step 2, which is to find the least common denominator for both mixed numbers. So if we look at our first mixed number, which is 4 and 4 ninths, we'll see that its denominator is 9. And if we look at our second mixed number, 3 and 1/3, we'll see that its denominator is 3. So when you're trying to find the least common denominator for small numbers such as 9 and 3, you should be able to do that in your head. But if you aren't at that point yet, another way for you to find the least common denominator for any pair of numbers, whether they're big or small, is by writing down the multiples of those numbers you're trying to find the least common denominator for. So let's go ahead and do that for 9 and 3 down here. We'll do this in red. So we'll write down 9 and 3. And being that 9 and 3 are small numbers that we're trying to find the least common denominator for, we'll write down the first 5 multiples for 9 and 3. So the first 5 multiples of 9 are 9, 18, 27, 36, and 45. Then the first 5 multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. So if we look at both sets of multiples for both 9 and 3, we'll find that the least common multiple or least common denominator is 9. So now that we have identified our least common denominator, we can go ahead and move on to step 3, which is to rewrite our mixed numbers so that they both have the least common denominator found in step 2, which was 9. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll put an equal sign, and our mixed number 4 and 4 ninths already has our least common denominator of 9. So we'll just go ahead and write the same thing, same mixed number 4 and 4 ninths. Just bring that over. Now our mixed number 3 and 1/3 doesn't have our least common denominator of 9, so we have to rewrite that to make it have our least common denominator 9. So the way we do that is we change 3 to 9 by multiplying 3 by 3. 3 times 3 is 9, and then whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So times 3 at the top. And when we rewrite that, we'll get 3 and 3 ninths. Because like I said, 1 times 3 is 3, and then 3 times 3 is 9. And then we'll just bring over our whole number of 3. We'll bring it over here. So now that we've gotten step 3 out the way, we can go ahead and add our mixed numbers. So let's go ahead and add our whole numbers first, which is 4 and 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. And then let's go ahead and add our numerators for both our mixed numbers, which is also 4 plus 3, which is 7. And then for our denominator, we just bring down a 9. We keep that the same. So 7 and 7 ninths is our answer when we add our mixed numbers 4 and 4 ninths plus 3 and 1/3. Let's go ahead and highlight that. So now let's move on to our example problem 2. 5 and 1/2 plus 2 and 6/10. So let's go ahead and rewrite that vertically so it's easier for us to add those mixed numbers together. So we'll write down 5 and 1/2 plus 2 and 6/10. So now let's go on to our step 2, which is to find the least common denominator for both mixed numbers. So same case with 2 and 10. These are smaller numbers, so we should be able to do that or find the least common denominator for both of these numbers in our head. But we'll go ahead and write down our first 5 multiples for both 2 and 10 down here. So 2, 10. First 5 multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Our first 5 multiples of 10 are 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. And if you look closely, our least common multiple or our least common denominator between 2 and 10, our least multiples for 2 and 10 are what? It's 10. That's the least common denominator for 2 and 10. So let's go ahead and move on to step 3 and rewrite our mixed numbers. So in order to change our mixed number 1 and 1/2, in order for it to have our least common denominator of 10, we have to multiply 2 by 5. So let's go ahead and do that. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. And when you do that, you'll end up getting a new mixed number of 5 and 5/10. Let's go ahead and rewrite that. It's kind of sloppy. And then let's go on to our next mixed number, 2 and 6/10, that already has our least common denominator that we identified of 10. So we can go ahead and just write the same mixed number down. Just bring that over. So 2 and 6/10. So now that we got step 3 out the way, we can go ahead and add our mixed numbers together. So let's do our whole numbers first. 5 plus 2 is 7. And then let's go ahead and add our numerators of our mixed numbers, which is 5 and 6. 5 plus 6 is 11. So let's write that as our numerator, and then we'll bring down our denominator of 10. Keep that the same. So when we look at 7 and 11/10, our fraction is an improper fraction. So that can't be our final number. What we have to do is we have to change our improper fraction to a mixed number, then add to 7. So we'll write down 7, and then we'll change our 11 over 10, which is an improper fraction, because our numerator is bigger than our denominator. 11 is bigger than 10, so that makes it an improper fraction. So when you change an improper fraction to a mixed number, you have to divide 11 by 10. So we have to see how many groups of 10 can go into 11. So one group of 10 can go into 11. That leaves a remainder of 1, so 1 will be our numerator. Then we bring our 10 down as our numerator. We keep that the same. And now we can go ahead and add 7 plus 1 and 1/10. So we changed our improper fraction to a mixed number. So 7 plus 1 and 1/10 is 8 and 1/10. Now that will be our final answer. So that concludes today's lesson. Remember, the more you go over these type of problems, the better you'll get. Thanks for studying with KJ.